Whoa.
You've got it, Bailey. Is that not a clip? That was so in sync.
That was...
I feel like we've really impressed ourselves so far.
Take 5.
Wrap.
All right, buddy, whenever you're ready.
Preston, welcome to the new set.
I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you're here for a reason today. Any idea as to what that is?
I guess it would have to do with something we did last Saturday.
Tell me about it.
I don't even know where to start. It was honestly the coolest thing I think we've ever accomplished here at the corporate office in the 4 years that I've been here. You know, it's been something we've been talking about doing for a really long time, and it finally came to fruition for us on Saturday. You know, the record had been broken multiple times over the years, and now that it's finally been brought back to Kansas City for the best day, I think it just really shows people that no matter where you are in the nation, there's always people out there going above and beyond, but still seeing it back at the home base at corporate really reflects a big light to everyone that they need to go out there, go grind, go do as much as they possibly can to try to keep up with what we do here.
You know, it's funny. You mentioned, talking about it for a couple of years. I know multiple times we've made the comment, man, we should go out there and smash this record. You know, talking from Friday's conference call, Brandon's kind of narrative on that call, there was something that really triggered me on Friday. Initially, the conference call, and then about 4 o'clock that day, nobody had got sales yet in your team, and you posted a message in there, who's cooking first? And you had a brand new rep, which has now caught traction, who said it's pretty tough to cook in the freezer. I mean, it was 4 degrees out in fairness. And your immediate response to him within that same moment was, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. And it's funny because from that moment at 4 o'clock forward, I was thinking about it for about the next hour. And of course, about an hour later, about 5 o'clock Friday, I shot you a text. Do you want to go smash the company record tomorrow? Which, do you remember what your response to that was?
Said you're talking to the right guy.
Of course, text stopped. I picked up the phone and we obviously started game planning strategically on how do you accomplish that goal, right? And so obviously that goal had been set years ago and held by an individual. And going to try and take down a record, I think goes above and beyond just taking down a record. I think there was more to it than just that. But talk to me a little bit about what it was like meeting out in Topeka about 8:30 a.m.
Well, I started off the morning, I think, before that even. I think it really started for us at 6 a.m. As soon as we both woke up, it was right around the same time. We both posted something in the thread. We knew that day was going to be a big day, not only for us, but for the team as well. Just the energy in the air that day. We knew this was something we were going to take down from the get-go. We knew without a doubt in our mind, you and myself going out there, we weren't going to come home empty-handed. We were going to come home with that 12.
You know what's so funny about it is, so obviously we walked out of our last house at 8:56, 4 minutes prior to shelling closing, and we were sitting in the car, and for some reason we're kind of sifting through some of our pictures. We made the little ChatGPT one with 12 fingers, but what's funny is you end up pulling up a video of yourself that you didn't mention, I had no idea about, but on our way to meet out there at 7:46 in the morning, you videotaped yourself saying, I'm not coming home without this record. And I just started bawling laughing because I go, hold on. So I sift through 12 photos to get back to that video. And at 7:46 a.m., I apparently did the exact same thing, saying, I'm not going home without this darn record. So it was pretty funny to see how in sync that mindset was. And going back to your comment, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
I think that, to me, is the most important thing about being an outsider looking in, witnessing and watching it happen. And obviously, you mentioned it's happened a few different times throughout the years. Watching in the backyard and taking phone calls throughout the day from you guys, I think what a lot of people don't realize is not just the commitment. Like I said, I've never done it. So for me to make any sort of judgment on if I could or couldn't, I don't know until I go try it, right? But I think the first thing is the commitment it takes to actually commit to being out there the entire day. You guys said you met at 8:30, but the day started at 6. Yep. That mental preparation. I don't know if a lot of people realize that mental preparation it takes to go and achieve a record like that. It's like David Thompson saying, hey, I'm going to take down that monthly record and doing 64 on the month. He had to mentally prepare probably that month prior, have everything lined up, his mind in the right place to go out there day after day after day and keep that. for you guys, and I posted this on the thread, my post to you guys was about respect, right? First and foremost, you have a national that has no sales requirement. Second, we got Kansas City manager that has already hit his requirement and then some. You're already in bonus land for the month. But going out there and saying, we don't need the sales. We don't necessarily need the commissions. You both are making great money. But going out there and saying, we are going to get this no matter what. I heard that from both of you individually. No matter what, that's the mindset we have. And throughout the day, keeping that mindset at the forefront of your brain, because there was many things that could have deterred you that day. There were a handful of conversations about, man, I feel like I'm out here pushing and I'm hearing some negativity or I'm getting some negative feedback. And a lot of it's just keep your head down, keep going, keep pushing. And I'm not saying that as if I motivated you, but obviously that mindset is the number one thing, I think, versus even the physical part. Physically, you have to be out there. It was 15 degrees as a high that day.
14, just to be clear.
14 as a high that day. But realistically, I think it's more the mental and emotional side of things that people don't realize when it comes to sales.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. And so, you know, initially, yes, we had that mindset. It was something we knew we were setting out to accomplish. You know, but I think it's important for everyone to hear, listen, you know, give credit where it's due. It's not easy to go out there and write 8 in the field, which is what we wrote in the field. You know, but we talk often about working smarter, not harder, right? And having a strategic approach. And although these conversations sparked on that Friday morning conference call, carried over from 4 to 5 o'clock, Friday night, me and Preston were on the phone, and we have about 1,700 texts back and forth, which were, hey, listen, you know, these accounts that have been redlined, that weren't being followed up on, let's use a strategic approach here. And so the mindset was, let's get up early. Let's start calling through some of those accounts that, you know, very candidly, you know, I think from time to time, we're so focused on that next sale, that next opportunity, that we forget the work we've already done. And so if for nothing else, to show it was possible, we called through some of those old cancellations where there was no follow-up for 3 and 4 weeks. And what was shocking is most of those individuals wanted the system. They just had a hiccup in the process right prior to install and avoided getting it installed. And, you know, they end up canceling out. Those were relatively simple conversations to get them back on the board.
I do want to touch on that because I think it's important for the nation to hear how this whole thing started. It wasn't necessarily, hey, it's Friday, let's just go break a record for no apparent reason.
Right.
I know, and some of our managers know because they were paying attention to the conference call, but for you, you're sitting right behind me when I was going through the roster. And I was going through team numbers and I was going through individual manager numbers. And as I went through those numbers, there was some disappointment. Obviously, it's a hard time of year. It's cold. It's terrible weather. There's flu season, broken down cars, all that. We get that. But realistically, we're going through, and there was quite a few that weren't pacing to hit their actual numbers. And so when I got off that call, I know the comment you made is, man, I don't get how people struggle to hit 12 minimums. This is a minimum number. I don't get how they struggle to hit 12 in a month. I really feel like I can go do it in a day. The second thing I mentioned on that call was talking to managers, hey, even if you are sick, even if your car is broke down, there's no reason every single manager across the nation shouldn't be calling through their cancels to try getting back on the board. Because as you just pointed out, whether it's 2-3 weeks, a lot of that's circumstantial. But what happens is they have a situation pop up. Water heater goes out. They were expecting to, have movers come in and they had to push those back, which costs more money or whatever happens. And realistically, enough time, or as we say in our pitch, the dust settles, and you call them back and they're like, actually, you know what? I do still feel security is important. And when I mention that, I know people hear it on the calls.
Sure.
I mention it a lot on the calls.
Most Fridays.
But you actually said, man, I don't know if they take that to heart, and I want to prove that that also could be done. You referenced the time I went down to Wichita, and I met at the time a guy named Dawson. And we sold 4 that day. And I said, little did most people know, I already had 3 by the time I got down there because I had called all of Wichita's cancels on the way down. It's like a 4.5-hour drive. It's a terrible drive. So I'm like, might as well fill it with doing something productive. I met Dawson, like, great news, dude. We got 3 already. Let's go get a 4th. And sure enough, that momentum carried us forward. We got a 4th. And I know for you, it wasn't about, having it out of someone else's name and in your guys' name, because I know your reference is, hey, we're putting it back in their names anyways.
Yeah, of course.
But realistically, it was about proving to the managers and the nation what we talk about on those calls actually comes to fruition. If you just put a little time in calling, you can actually get those things back in the books pretty easy. And that doesn't take away from the 8 actual houses that you guys are in. Because I know, because again, we were talking throughout the entire day. You were out there from 8:30 all the way till 9 p.m. at night. So it doesn't take away from that 12+ hour day. But I do know that's what fueled those calls to actually happen too.
Yeah, there was a lot of inbound calls throughout the day, and yeah, a little bit of negativity, but I think having the right person in place to connect with and go out there with the one goal in mind, we're going to smash this regardless, and obviously reflect back on those videos that were us talking to ourselves, and I don't know if that was just the mental preparation or just knowing I'm not going home without this thing. I don't know. What was it for you, Preston?
Honestly, my mindset was I want this record back in Kansas City. I want to be able to have something that I feel like won't ever be broken again. If it does, it's really going to take someone's full heart, grit, and determination to go out there and fight all day. I feel like we don't see that as much as we used to, and I feel like after going out there on Saturday and doing it, that might light a fire in some people to go out there and start doing that again.
What's funny is you posted the picture of our disposition sheet for the day, which showed 175 dispositions, and I think the post was something along the lines when hard work meets determination, and it was a great example of that.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that.
And I think it's important too for people to hear the actual hours in the field and the dispositions. Because, again, a lot of people saw some of those calls and thought that's all that happened, right? But you and I behind the scenes also talked about the previous record holder and the one before that, too. And I know you were giving praise on what they did to accomplish
Big
it.
time.
And so I know you probably had some remarks around that from what you were telling me earlier, but absolutely incredible.
And there was no, and let's not let anybody know, listen, it was the directive you gave on the conference call. There are deals to be had that just simply got forgotten about. And a quick example, right, is one of the individuals that we called, his garage couldn't open and shut the day of install. It cost him $400. He's a new homeowner. He's got a lot of other expenses. And so for that conversation, it was, well, let me waive that $150 for you and we'll get you taken care of. And he was super grateful. But yeah, like you said, going out there and punching in 11 sales in the field in a day, it's an extraordinary accomplishment. I think more of the point in this was, man, let's show that work smart, not hard. Well, let me clarify on that. Work hard first, but why don't you work strategically and have some finesse throughout?
I'm glad you clarified that because I say that in my training all the time. You know me, by far, you're far more skilled than I am in the field, and I have no problem admitting that. But we've talked many times about how the work ethic, if I'm out there, I'm out there.
Yep.
And I do not believe in working for free.
Yep.
So I am coming home with a deal no matter what. And that's always been my mentality. But I've always told people, work smart. That doesn't mean don't work hard.
Yep.
Still work hard, but work smart at the same time.
Yeah.
And that results in way more than either just working smart alone or working hard alone.
Yeah, and very intentional, as you know, there was no hiding of it. It was very intentional to post our deals and security tracks that showed deals that came from other markets that just simply never got followed up on from weeks prior. And so I think it was a good example, and Preston really did a good job setting it. Listen, if you work strategically and you work smart, you don't always have to work as hard. But I want to recap that. To your point, if you're going to be in the field, work hard. If you're already out there, man, we don't work for free.
I have one final question for you guys. Knowing that you're both out there and 8 original fresh knocks, new homeowners, who actually sold those? Preston or you?
It's funny because in fairness, it's about a fair split. On the callbacks initially, because there's a little bit more moving parts where there was a 13th one. I believe 3 of the phone ones were you. 2 of the other ones were me, and then it was 4 and 4 split up. And listen, the reality of it is I think we both contributed 50% on every account. It was just who's going to pitch this one because I'm mentally exhausted from the last one.
I would agree with that as well.
Yep.
Well, I personally want to just say amazing job, fellas. Obviously, any record that's taken down is incredible, not just for you guys to have it and have the title, but also for the nation, whether it's regionally where people can go out there and aspire to do it. Nationally, someone says, man, I saw this on the thread, or my manager showed me what happened on the nationwide thread. It just goes to show that regardless if it's the COVID era or it's 2026, records still can be broken. And our job is to continue to push the bar higher and higher and higher.